tonight, one day I'll have like an actual good like intro for that. But anyway, tonight we're playing There Is Always Dust by Tim Busatil. So I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Uh, which is a wonderful game about tiny wonderful game about playing wizards who do maintenance on magic towers, magic with magic tech, stuff like that. Yeah. We were joined, as always, with Vico, and who has been holding down the fort while I've been away for the past few weeks, and Kai, uh, our wonderful friend of the family. Love streaming with them. So cool.
I always like when you're available to join us, especially for world building games, Kai. Always,
I love to talk.
you always bring something really fun to it.
I'm glad.
It's true. You do bring a certain je ne sais quoi, if you will. Alrighty. So Vico, how do we play?
So this is a game that can be played with 1 to 4 players. You can do it in person, by instant message, play by post, etc. The game is divided into 3 scenes. The first scene is traveling to the tower, then working on the tower, and then packing up once your work is done. During each scene, we'll take turns selecting a prompt from the prompt list by rolling a d6. And then we can answer the prompt questions in as much detail as we want. We can also ask more questions, role play little like conversations and scenes between our characters, etc. It's very open ended. The rules say if you roll a number that has already been used in the current scene, describe a sensory detail to make the scene more vivid. Then roll again and take your turn as normal.
Cool.
Once everyone has had a turn, we can move on to the next scene or keep going.
Cool.
The same scene.
Alrighty. Let's see. We want to describe or create our wizards that we're playing.
Yeah, there's no like guidelines for that. You can just kind of
Free ball it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kai, what kind of wizard are you gonna play? Tough questions. Putting you on the spot.
This is a very difficult question because I've not been thinking about wizards recently. I've been thinking
Yeah,
about
vampires
druids
and
recently.
yeah, and druids.
You can
Well,
play
and vampires. Yes, it's vampires.
any
Um,
of those. There's
I know, but I want to save my spicy druid for later.
Spicy
Um,
druid.
she's very angry and also 16. So I think I think my wizard is a very kind of blue collar technician, not so much a lives in a tower and reads books kind of wizard, but very much a went to technical school and is doing the work on the ground.
Went to Polytechnic something institute.
Polytechnic
Yeah.
degree and like is union and pays their dues and like doesn't have a problem with the like wizards that have ideas and are the idea people, but like would really encourage them to like think about the practicalities. Like if you're going to build a tower all the way out in the desert, like when you have to send maintenance crews, you do want to train them to keep an eye out for rattlesnakes.
so like a great design, but like who's gonna dust that?
Well, there's always gonna be dust.
There's
There's
always
always
There's
dust,
always
and
dust.
you
Like
gotta.
it's right on the tin. I don't know what to tell you.
Mhm.
Like it's a
there's
feature, not a
always
bug. Yeah.
dust.
There's always
And
dust.
Who's gonna
if
deal
you
with that?
design something that needs to work in an environment without dust, like how are you going to
Yeah.
maintain that environment?
You got to get those like, HVAC systems. Uh
Need a
make it,
lot of
they
filters,
really
someone
like
to
the
replace the
enchantment has to be like
filter.
perfect on it. Like that
Build
calibration. Yeah.
like build
HEPA filters are
decontamination
really
centers.
important,
Mm-hmm.
and you really gotta,
Yep.
yeah.
Really. What does your wizard look like? Or do you want a second to think about that? Well, we describe
I
ours.
need a minute.
All right.
We can also build on these characters as we're
As we go,
playing.
yeah.
We don't need to come up with like all of the details now.
Yeah.
If you have an idea about your character, Avery, that you would like to share,
Oh, I see. Sure. Let's see.
give Kai a minute.
My wizard, she is, let's see. Okay, she's sort of like the middle management type. Um,
Yeah.
very kind of micromanaging a lot. Very much like thinks she's in charge, even though she is the same position as everyone everyone else. And like kisses up to the boss all the time and is just the probably really insufferable. But she thinks she's great. She's like, we're all a team here.
Has a bachelor's degree in business.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, she's just trying her best. And I think we can
This
all work
team is
together.
like a
Yeah,
family.
when you're here, you're family. Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to deny that over time. Are you sure you can't take this other shift? And you've only worked 40 hours this week. You sure you can't take this one?
Because we're family and family helps
Will
each
you look out
other.
for each other, okay? Like you need to like if you need to call out sick, that's okay, but really just think about your other partners, your other wizards. Like it's gonna make life harder for them too. Anyway, just really think about what a union really means. They might not have
So
your best
anyway,
interest in
we
mind.
really do we kill Avery's character in the first scene, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we push her off the tower. A terrible accident due to budget cuts.
You have created the character that I had hoped to create for Trophy Dark.
Very good, very good. Okay, Vico, what do you got?
I was thinking also a blue collar, but like someone who got into this line of work because like it's the family business.
Okay.
Like
Mm.
their grandpa owned had a like maintenance company. Then they trained their mom to do it, who trained them to do it, so they just like grew up around it. So they're not super great on like the paperwork front, and they don't exactly know all of the terms and everything because they're more of a like, well, this is the way we do it.
Here's this. Anyway.
Like, hey, is that OSHA compliant? It's like, what's an OSHA? But they also have very strong like ideas about they they have very strong opinions about safety equipment,
As everyone should.
namely that everyone should be wearing it. And if it takes you less than 10 minutes to check over your kit and make sure that everything's where it should be and all the buckles are tightened properly, then you have done it wrong.
Meanwhile, my character's like trying to rush you, like, come on, guys, we really gotta get moving. Like, we gotta
Time is
pick up the
money.
pace. Time is money, guys. Time is money.
My character's just like slowly tightening a buckle, checking it 3 more times, like.
You don't
Like,
rush the
I'll get
process.
there when I get
One of
there.
them is like time is money, and the other one is wait, time is hospital bills.
Time is hospital bills.
My grandpa lost 3 fingers. Do it because he didn't properly tighten his glove straps. All right, and now he can't play the piano like he used to.
I mean, they have
Were you there
spells that
when that
just
happened?
regenerate this, but
You know how expensive those are, and it's never the same. I
you
mean,
can always take out a loan.
he did get them regrown, but it's never been the
It's not
same.
the same. Yeah, I think there was something wrong with the spell they grew on backwards.
Yeah, they all bend
They
the
grew
opposite direction now.
Terrible.
But I was like, we could just cut them off again, try again. But it's like, no, it's fine.
For some
It would
wild
change
party
the
tricks,
internal
but
mechanics in the hand.
just flip the whole hand around.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, why don't we start with our first scene in our day? So we meet in the city, and we set out for the next tower in the rotation. So I think we're all like repairing multiple towers that are outside of the city somewhere.
Who wants to roll first?
Vico, you roll.
Okay. 2.
2.
What do the towers look like? Are they all identical or do they vary? Do they produce sound or are they silent? I like the idea of them producing a like low level but constant hum. Maybe with some variation, like as um, like there's a sort of beat
Pitch
or
and
rhythm to
frequency.
it.
Mm-hmm.
People have probably made like industrial sound music to it, like using it as like the percussion.
Mm-hmm. What did they look like?
They look like. Um, I mean, you can all chime in. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I think at least within the range of like this city, they might all be identical, just very utilitarian.
Kind of brutalist.
Yeah, a bit um like cell phone towers.
Like,
Okay.
so when I first was thinking about towers, I remembered road trips as a kid, driving for like hours and hours on the we were on the turnpike, but like, and then you'd pass like a little pocket of civilization and there'd be a water tower
Oh,
Mm.
and it had the town name on it, and that's how you knew you passed certain towns, was like you'd pass their water tower. Or the this is very specific to certain areas of the Northeast US, but the salt huts at certain highway exits, the like
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know what you're
the
talking
little
about.
yurt looking things, um, like where it's like they all look the same across multiple states. They all look the same, but there's different towns have different like signs on them, or they've painted them different colors. Um, they don't have to look like water towers, but I thought was maybe the structure is the same or similar, and then different areas nearby have painted them different colors or have different like graffiti on them
Yeah,
if it's near a more populated area.
Hmm.
I know that there are other questions in this section about like what function do they serve, etc. But like the water tower thing got me onto this like track of like maybe like there's it, it's not like a tower as in a building so much as it's like these legs that are holding a container off the ground that contains something, whether that's like the internal mechanics or
Mhm.
like just pure magic or something
Yeah,
that has to be like kept up so that it doesn't, I don't know, it magically irradiate
everything.
everything or like leak into the groundwater or something.
Yeah, uh, could definitely be a thing. So I like the idea of like the wide legs. I'm like sketching it out as I do it. Um,
Maybe
kind
I
of
don't,
like alien tripod kind of
yeah,
vibes.
and there's probably like mechanics like access panels in the legs as well that contain like that you have to deal with.
I feel actually if you're okay with it, I think maybe them being just supports would be more interesting because then you'd have to actually get up there to
Mm-hmm.
even see what's wrong or anything. So, which is always fun and a challenge in itself.
Yeah, like at best, the most you can do on the ground is like take soil samples.
Yeah, or just like eyeball it. You're like,
So maybe our towers look something like this.
yeah,
Yes.
So they've got it's like a tripod, but each leg is a little like uh, laddery with
lattice, yeah.
like cross supports and stuff.
There's probably like
And then
lenses around it to
I
like at a
like the
certain
idea of
distance.
this being round for
Hmm.
better acoustics to like create that hum.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I was actually
So,
thinking I had an idea in my head of it being like having some like hollow sections for the wind to put through and create that hum. But I also
mhm.
like the idea of it generating the hum itself just through its mechanics.
I was also thinking like maybe there's space inside of it. Like you go in and it's like a room or
Hmm.
something, and then there's like like the containment tank or something, but in the room there's also like all of the mechanical stuff
Mhm.
that's needed to like make sure that the whatever's
Like it
being
has to be big
contained is
enough to hold a arcane circle
Mm.
mm-hmm.
that then the mechanics inside of that or the uh, spell components or whatever um, have room to react in the way that they need to produce. I assume this is how the internet works,
Yeah.
and you're just maintaining
Mm-hmm.
like fiber optic internet with this. Like that.
Oh, essentially, yeah. I was thinking for
I went to art school. I don't fucking know.
like these like power
Um,
like this is magical power lines
Oh
or
my
something.
god.
yeah,
Uh, like I don't know,
this
maybe
is how you get fiber optic internet. It
Hmm.
involves arcane circles
Yeah.
and like
You cast a spell to make the little electricity lightning elemental dance around the wires. And they tell him like
yeah.
go fetch you look point at the elements and go fetch me my videos, boy. And he
listen,
goes,
we are world building my next urban fantasy
mm-hmm.
one
I
shot.
wonder if
You're welcome.
like maybe all of the tech in in this setting is like powered by magic, so every like town has to have like some sort of vestibule of magical energy that sort of ambiently provides power to your phones and your lights and everything.
Oh yeah, that thing. that
And
because
perhaps
otherwise you
Tesla.
start sucking the magical energy out of the earth, and then you end up with
Mm-hmm.
a Final Fantasy VII Midgar type situation where everything in like a 7 mile radius around the town is dead.
Cool. We don't want that.
and
That would be bad for
they may
business.
be located specifically on ley lines.
Mm-hmm. To more
Um,
efficiently like move the energy so people don't start, so like your television doesn't start powering itself via your the like life
you could
energy of your car.
splice your house directly into the nearest ley line. Sometimes they just conveniently,
You could hack the
like,
planet, yeah.
earthquake faults just go right through a neighborhood, but, like, this is less dangerous than tying directly into the trunk line, and
Mm-hmm.
also, um
Yeah, because if you do that, you run the risk uh, that your like electric griddle develops a personality.
He's my friend. Name.
he also doesn't like
Love him.
sesame seeds,
What?
and you keep buying sesame bagels, and really, we've gotta talk about this.
Oh man,
So
I've lost
yeah,
it.
if
Have we answered the question? What do they
so
look
if
like?
I
they're
think we have.
Okay.
if they're on a ley line and the ley line is underground, are
Wait,
there like
these are for more.
cables?
Wait, no, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. No, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. Well,
But
this is not the question we're
We've
answering.
answered
yes, it
4
is. What do the
questions
towers look
out
But
of
like?
the
you're extrapolating on other things. We're just focusing on what they look like.
Okay, they've got 3 legs and they've got like this squart, like round
Say that word again.
squart,
Squirt.
squart.
What is squirt?
It's like SWAT, but it's more fun to say.
It's like
Squirt.
squat, but you're from inner city Pittsburgh.
Yes,
Squat.
squart.
Squirt.
They said it in a Drawfee episode once, and I have never been able to pronounce the word squat normally since then.
Good to know. All right, yeah,
Our magical towers look like this.
they look
Yeah.
like that. Water tower. Maybe not for water, but for something.
Generally
Big,
identical, at
wide,
least
thick
in
boys.
basic form, but
Yeah.
every town probably like paints them differently. Maybe the magical energy that runs through them like varies in color or
Mm-hmm.
intensity. Maybe they each have their own rhythm or their own like song.
No, yeah, like their own frequency that they attune to, so to speak.
Like I imagine maybe because we talked about arcane circles that maybe the rhythm that it of the hum that it produces might be like because of the each step of the reaction like produces a slightly different frequency. So
So
it's
it
like
doesn't so much
bum bum
produce
bum.
a hum, but a specific chord.
Possibly.
Yeah. And it's just like bum 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 might be like how one of them sounds.
Sure. I'll roll for our next question so we can actually move on.
Yeah, let's
4.
continue playing the game.
Are the towers new technology or old? What are they made from? Were they designed and constructed in living memory?
Thank you, Avery.
I don't think they're exactly kind of in keeping with the Waters Tower idea. They're not like ancient, but they're not new. Maybe like less than a century or so. So within memory, but probably like during this settings like turn of the century equivalent.
Like in during industrialization or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, especially in like I'm thinking equivalent to like WPA, like Great Depression, when things were just doing lots of public projects that were being constructed. So, um, So I guess they are um, designed and constructed things. They're like
Well,
man-made essentially.
and
So
kind of keeping with the water tower idea, they could have been in large cities, particularly in, like, older buildings in, like, New York and stuff. um, some of them will have a water tower on top of the building, and that was very practical because there wasn't an easy way to get water
yeah,
otherwise. And so, maybe they started in a very kind of, or they adapted on a principle that was used in, kind of pre-industrial cities, and then as things expanded out to more suburban areas, it made sense to, instead of having one per apartment block or whatever, it made sense to spread them out around, and we've developed during that, like, WPA era, a better means of, um, distribution so that it's not, well, these 3 buildings over here have them, and those 5 over there don't, and you're just sucks to be you.
see, yeah. Um, I feel like in answering what they're made of, I'm gonna make an executive decision to say it's not concrete.
Not concrete.
Not concrete. Something else. Maybe metals. You're on thin ice, but not concrete. Get creative.
I think
Uh,
that's the part, going back to the previous prompt, are they all identical or do they vary? I think the general structure of them, 3 legs and a cylindrical, um, kind of hollow room on top, is pretty standard, and then the materials vary based on where they are.
and
They
maybe based
use
on
materials from the local environment.
Hmm.
and maybe based on like what um inert versus activated
Hmm.
by certain
Or
by
volatile.
whatever
Yeah.
magic is like the most prevalent in that part of the ley line.
Hmm. Yeah.
Question,
Yeah.
this is, I don't know that this is going to be addressed, but, do you think that this is in the kind of common Western tradition of magic?
Uh, I would think so. I'm sort of envisioning sort of a urban fantasy, maybe like kind
In
of
which
sense.
case in which case I am going to propose specifically that regardless of what the, round, kind of basin is made out of, that the legs are always iron.
Iron. That
I
makes
was
sense.
gonna suggest iron, but I thought that might be, I don't know. So maybe part of our like what we have to do is like deal with rust buildup.
Hmm. Have
Um,
mending spells on the ready. Just
like repainting the legs of a suspension bridge or something.
Yeah.
I
And
part of me
not
now
just mending spells, but, um, some kind of spells that let us examine the joints and weld new ones in if we need to, and
yeah.
I've been playing a lot of like Guild Wars and games like that where magic has like different elements that you have to like combine in different ways. So part of me is thinking like maybe like if you're in a coastal area, then the ley line might have more water aspected magic. So for like the parts of it that need to be kept inert, you would use things that are fire aspected.
I like that. I like the idea as well that um,
Maybe part of the
I'm re- I'm really into the idea that uh, they're made or maintained using local materials because
Mhm.
that is what makes that magic most effective.
Mhm. I feel like they definitely try to use like foreign materials from outside the area, and it just made it catastrophically worse.
yeah.
Uh,
So maybe part of like the upkeep is that we have to go in and figure out like the ratios of different like aspects or types of energy in the area so that we can make sure that the tower is properly attuned.
mhm.
Like it doesn't change much year to year, but over the course of a decade, you can go from being mostly like uh,
And it's
lightning
like
magic to
testing
being
soil
mostly.
samples for pH levels and
Mhm.
stuff, only we do that magically instead of
Yeah.
uh,
So 10 years ago,
like,
you could
oh, the
grow this
acidity's
plant in
gone
the
up,
store.
so we've gotta.
10 years ago, your rhododendron like were purple, and now they're growing in blue and whatever. And rhododendrons are one of the plants that change color with pH levels, right?
I I was going to believe you whether or
Yeah.
not that was correct because I
Did you
know
think this
shit
was
about
common
plants.
knowledge? Do you think
Yes.
that everyone would know this?
Yes.
None of my
No.
druids are plant druids because I don't know shit about plants. All of my druids are animal druids.
Hang on, Vigo's Googling.
We're gonna Google this. But I like that, like, in a coastal area, the towers may just have larger salt accumulations. Um,
Vigo's reading furiously. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
it's not rhododendrons, but
Mm.
there are plants that are impact that change color based on.
I
Anyway,
think
Kai,
it
do you
might
want to
be
roll while Vigo
it's
looks?
hydrangea.
Sure.
Hydrangeas.
Anyway, yeah. So like we have to test the
Yeah.
magical pH.
Yeah. And I rolled very conveniently a 3.
Hey.
What service or function do the towers provide? What
Hey,
do they make possible? Who owns them? We've kind of already answered this,
Yeah, well, now we
but
can
we
set it
kind
in
of also
stone. Yeah.
haven't.
Mhm.
Um, what service or function do the towers provide? We've talked about them channeling magical energy and connecting to ley lines and like powering magical technology. But I think they probably also act in a way that like each of them as their own individual entity like channels magical energies from a ley line.
Mhm.
But I think as a group, you have them arranged as such that they kind of emulate a fairy circle
Oh.
around a population center. So they act kind of, they connect to each other as well as to civilization
Mhm.
and do something along the lines of um, channeling energies away from populated areas,
Sort of like a as a
or
ward kind of
Yeah,
That's interesting. I like that. Um, hmm.
not like a not like a wall, but
Right.
like in as industrialization happens and society kind of advances technology-wise, you move away from the need to have castles and moats and, um, kind of I used to know these words and now I don't anymore, but, like, walls around cities to protect them from
Mm.
harsh weather and,
Attack.
uh, attack and things, and
Attack.
these towers have kind of replaced that in a magical sense.
Hmm.
And maybe like through industrialization, like today, there are processes that transform one thing into energy or something, but also release some sort of negative byproduct. And the
Bad
towers,
vibes.
the the circle of towers help to funnel that through and like clean it up and transform it back into something usable so that it's not like
Mm,
building up.
yeah. The network of towers cleanses the vibes,
Yeah,
Got good vibe towers.
good vibe towers.
Good
which is
vibe towers.
then another reason that they have to really be in concert with the local environment
Mhm.
because
Yeah. They're like filters, sort of filtering
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
and if one of them gets clogged, the whole system goes down.
Yeah.
You'd think we would have figured out a better way to do this so that there are bypasses in case one of them gets clogged, but that's too much taxpayer money. So
that goes into the who owns them. Are they public works?
Hmm.
I would like to believe that most of them are public works in the same way that like
I think they're maybe like
roads and
subsidized.
bridges are.
Yeah.
Because I have some strong feelings about energy companies and public versus
Mhm.
private ownership.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
from California. I've got some issues.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean,
Private water company.
Let's
mhm,
talk about PG&E. Let's go.
gladly. Oh
I
my
think
god.
they're municipal, which means that so they're government owned, uh, or like they're part of the like public works,
Mm,
but also because of that, sometimes it's like if you get a string of really bad governors or something,
They'll
it's
cut the
just
funding
like
a lot.
you just can't like they just won't fix the bridges or anything.
mhm.
It's like, okay, before this guy took office, I could go across this bridge and my commute to work was 10 minutes. Now that bridge has fallen into disrepair and had to be closed, and this guy is in office and won't put the money towards it. So now my commute is like a half hour because I have to go all the way to this other bridge.
So you've been to Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I'm gonna talk shit about a bunch of places and people, and
Yeah,
it's just gonna happen.
just
mhm,
start
This
that's
swinging.
is
what
being an adult. You have opinions about public works and
yeah,
government officials.
Exactly.
I think it's ridiculous that
I mean, I think if we're building this world where we are conscious of the invasive and detrimental nature of non-native elements, and if we're focused on maintaining balance, I think it's reasonable to say that there is probably slightly less, not none, but slightly less oligarchy in the government. So
Imagine that.
I guess
God, I fucking wish.
Like,
Um,
I sort of imagine that there's like people who have just never actually had to deal with what happens when the towers go down. Uh, so they're like, "Oh, it's not a big deal. It's fine. I mean, those towers have been working for 100 years. What's like they've never thought about it. So when like the I don't know the Wizard Engineer Guild is over here like, please give us more funding so we can maintain the towers, please.
Wait.
Like, why does that matter?
and in that case, would there be some kind of cycle where, um, for preventative maintenance, they do maybe seasonal brownouts where one tower goes offline or like
Like realign or like yeah.
to realign it or to reinstall the arcane circle.
Mm-hmm.
um like it has to be updated annually, and so each tower's on a schedule to go out, and so for 1 week each
Yeah.
year or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
So are we going to go with the idea that they're filters, sort of like filtering out and keeping out, bad magical influences? Or are we going to go with an idea of it's like, generating magic in some way? Or
I feel like it could be both. I mean, each individual tower is sort of like a generator, and then you make the giant magic circle that acts as the filter for the waste product of the towers or technology to recycle it back into.
I can work with that. Um, yeah. So like they're planted on ley lines, they amplify sort of ambient energy. They're like accumulators in some sense. Uh,
Mhm.
and then filtering out the expent energy that
They're
can, yeah.
very much a water system kind of
Hmm.
thing where they filter out the gray water and um, accumulate rainwater and cycle it through.
Call it a water system, and we were just talking about oligarchy and like system breakdown, and it's like what
I'm from Southern California. It all connects.
water systems and like being able to get water to population centers is so important just to daily life, and yet there are politicians who are like
That's
further
the Nestle
the immigrants
Corporation.
actually.
Yeah, it's because they're being lobbied by,
Yeah.
the
So
energy
so
The
executives.
I
Nestle
think
Anyway, carrying
Corporation.
on.
we have like
Anyway,
alternate
we have
energy
thoughts
like
and feelings.
we all know we have thoughts and feelings. Let's get back to the game. One thing I want to suggest for this last thing in the question is I like the idea of the arcane circle. What if there was something else that was like acting as like the conduit channel? What if there was like don't don't be weird, don't like judge me for this, but what if it was like, like a person usually kept in there? Or like some kind of living creature you imprison inside you keep sealed inside the water tower.
the generator from control,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Are they volunteers? Is it like a lighthouse worker type situation where
Are they
where you
ghosts?
go in, you have a year-long contract, and then you or
I mean,
And
or
then we're traveling to a tower to replace them with one of us?
maybe not one of us, but taking in the next subject, removing the old subject.
do they get a lot
We're
of
leaving
money for
Avery
this?
there.
Hmm. Well, no, I just like the idea of like we're all being so conscious like about the environment and like being so good things. I
So
just
we're
would
gonna
like
make
one
ourselves
really fucked up thing.
one really fucked up thing.
I don't want us to be this. I don't want this to be utopia. I think that's boring.
So are these people being forced to do this until they die? Or is it a magical creature that we're trapping? Or is it volunteers like lighthouse keeper style where it's like, yeah, this is a shit ass job, but someone has to do it. Go be in a tower
I'm
alone
okay with
for a
it being
year.
a volunteer, but system, but I kind of want it to be something incredibly unfortunate for them.
And, like eh, you're alone in this horrible little tower that you can't leave for a year, and your only interaction with other people is when the maintenance crew comes by or when your supply delivery gets dropped off. You probably can't have any like TV or anything there either because that might like unbalance the
Are you
information
thinking of them
source.
just sort of them like keeping like a lighthouse keeper, just sort of doing things around in there? So I'm thinking of them as
Because
like
Avery's thinking of
they
chaining
are
them up
being
to an electric chair
being strapped
24/7
in.
for
They are the lighthouse. They are the lamp.
like like the generator from Control, but also like do do they eat? Do they need to eat?
Why
Do
do
they
they need
get
to? They're chock full of magical energy 24/7. They're fine.
okay?
And I'm sure there's plenty of people being like, this is wrong. This is bad. This is fucked up. Everyone's like, this is fine.
Like the
and
military.
this is where I come in with a, question. Have you considered ghosts?
I have not. Ghosts.
Not
So
so it's not magical energy being used to filter and funnel magical energy. It's spiritual energy being used to filter and funnel magical energy. And so you have a um, part of the maintenance maybe we're not necessarily aware of is that ghosts have been collected or captured or something encapsulated that we have to then go refresh the supply
so we're
of
using dead
ghosts.
people. We're fueling the world with dead people. Okay. Um that's pretty fucked up, so I'm into it. Yeah. I like it. I mean, it's not torturing a living
Different
creature, but
ethical
yeah.
quandaries, but
Mm-hmm. There's no freedom in death. Yeah. But also you're
Like
giving back, in a way, after you're gone.
um
But in an incredibly painful way.
and so when you like give your
Ulysses
body
got
to
his own.
science, what you're actually doing is signing away your soul to
Exactly.
a wastewater plant for magic.
Mm-hmm. People are going to use your magical energy to cast spells that make their dicks bigger.
And look up porn on the
And
internet.
look up porn on the internet. The magic internet, of course. You seem vexed by this addition to the plot.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to spice
Avery
things
and
up a
I
little
are
bit.
coming up with a good starting point for a campaign to fix it.
Yeah.
True. Also, I'm realizing how weird the like range of media I consume is because I can think of multiple different pieces of media that had basically this
Oh yeah, this is
conflict.
a staple.
Yeah.
This is a staple in
This, yes.
this is a staple trope, and I love it.
So is the using people thing, but I am more ethically inclined towards the using ghosts thing. Um, um, and maybe at some point in the past, and this we're now answering parts of like prop number 6 here, but maybe sometime in the past it was like Monsters Inc. style. They realized that like certain types of ghosts or certain types of deaths channeled more energy, and they were like, well, this one needs more than this other one, so we're only going to use child ghosts here. And then um
Would this fuel the prison industrial complex?
Mm-hmm.
Like, would
absolutely.
executed prisoner ghosts just be
Oh,
automatically
choice.
like uh
And like eventually those like the violent crimes. Oh my gosh, yeah. And the people. Oh
yeah?
my god, yeah. That's really fucked up.
Because like
Good job. Good idea.
if as
And
a
so
prisoner your body belongs to the government, then so does your soul.
Yep.
yeah, and the cops, part of their job would be to capture the ghosts
Part of the
related to violent crimes and stuff. And so they would also be inclined to create those ghosts.
what?
And
No.
I'm not
Do you think they
saying
get a
that
bonus for meeting the
this is
quota?
why, but also maybe consider cops are stealing ghosts. Um,
Cops have your grandma. The
Do
ghost
you
of your
think
grandma.
there's like a major like civil rights protest
For
and
the rights
like
of ghosts.
issue going on right now about like
Ghost rights.
well,
cops?
if there's
Well,
wizards, there's definitely necromancers, and necromancers are absolutely concerned with this shit.
like
So,
nowadays, pol- in our world, police can like take your money and call it like evidence,
Mm-hmm.
and then
mhm,
and just take it. You don't get it back, and you
Yep.
don't get
They'll
like.
take all your fucking weed and cocaine
take
and keep
everything.
it for
Do
themselves.
they
I'll
do that with like
repossess.
your family's like ghosts?
I mean, if
And
they're
it's like,
killed in an unusual or violent way, probably.
and then you like try and talk about it in public, and people are like, "That doesn't
That doesn't
happen.
happen.
My brother's a cop, and he would never do that." Like, yes, it happened right in front of me. If you look it up online, you
I
can
watched him
literally
suck it
see
into like the little Danny Phantom thermos thing. It was fuck. I
you can
watched him
see
do
so
it.
many sources about like how much funding the police get for capturing ghosts to fuel the
And
towers. And
You
it's
know the
not
towers,
quotas
right?
to
thin
give
blue
parking tickets, it's
line
quotas to get ghosts. And
protecting us. Like, there has to be a better system. There has got to be a better system that doesn't involve grandma's ghost being forcibly
well,
removed
no,
from
it
her
wouldn't be
resting place.
grandma. Grandma's too peaceful. You need a really
I mean,
active.
grandma, she's done some shit.
I mean, your grandma might, but my grandma, no.
Like,
My grandma's
grandma
killed
with
before, and she'll
dementia,
kill
and
again.
we loved her, but she was wild
Mm-hmm.
and fell down the stairs and broke her neck because
Jesus.
she refused to be put in a home, and it was traumatizing.
Are you being for real right now?
No, my
Okay.
that never
I was like,
happened.
what the fuck? And I was like, I don't think your grandma does that.
No.
Whew.
Well,
I know
I
that
have two grandmothers
I
on my
know that
mother's side, and
TTRPGs
both
are
of
all
them are in
about
good
like
health.
processing trauma, but Jesus Christ.
We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Anyway. So another thought before we move on, because this is a thought that I really want to explore. What if the idea? I know we did a lot of work on thinking up the idea of them being filters and accumulators of magical energy. What if that's just a front for something very bad, something else, some real conspiracy theory shit?
Is that something we would know as technicians?
It might be something we suspect. I mean, in order to be in this job, you would probably have to have like an understanding of how
Mm-hmm.
the energy flow works. So sometimes, like, maybe your character and mine, Kai, would just be like, I don't know why they built it like this. It's definitely not efficient for the filtering that's supposed to be going on. Like, maybe there is some filtering going on just so that the the engineers
It
don't
probably
alert
does
Artificer isn't a word we
the
can use.
the
channeling
artificers
and
don't.
filtering, but it probably does more other things as well. And so if it were just built for channeling and filtering, it would look a lot more like a telephone pole and a lot less like a water tower.
Mhm.
So there's definitely something else going on, but it's not necessarily, uh and I have a thought, maybe it's different depending on the city.
Hmm.
Ooh.
Maybe the city that we work for steals ghosts, and maybe that's common for, like, big cities. Um,
A lot of people, a lot of people, a lot of people die.
Lot of people, lot of
But
ghosts,
like
easy energy source.
in the EU they have laws against that.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
they
yeah.
use less efficient but like also less ethically dubious
Mhm.
sources.
They
And
just like
and
kill a
different
whole
areas
bunch of
might
plants.
yeah, and
Night
different
ghosts.
areas might have different styles, like this could be a very northeastern US kind of style water tower looking thing, and in maybe more desert areas, they look different because they're not
Nice big
performing
people.
all the same functions.
Yeah,
Question
yeah.
for how much of
Mhm.
our like ghost uh, conversation here was inspired by Lockwood and Co.
Uh,
They're really thinking.
Probably about 15%.
Oh,
I have consumed a lot of media around ghosts, and I have not finished Lockwood& and Co. I've only watched, like, 3 episodes, so I've not
Well, that show,
I
and
made
this
the
is
mistake
also
of watching
reminding
it at
me.
night, and it was a problem.
hmm.
It's also reminding me of Celestial Spear.
I'm not familiar with that.
Continue to list ghost media, and I will tell you whether or not I have consumed it.
Why don't we
Danny Phantom probably has more to do than Lockwood& and Co.
I did make that reference, yeah. Um
I guess as far as like so we've met in the city.
mhm.
Kai's character and mine are probably like fetching about something like maybe
I
this.
think my character is, um, not, like, older, but definitely, like, a full-fledged technician, whereas yours maybe is just out of apprenticeship or something.
Yeah, like I was imagining like early 20s definitely has more experience just by virtue of growing up around the
Yeah.
industry, but is more of an intuitive
Mhm.
So
person than
so we're
someone who really
definitely, like
understands the rules.
definitely on our way and, like, having the, like I don't it's so inefficient, the size and, like I mean, they could just do this, and I'm like, "Listen, these were built 112 years ago," I'm
But
not super
112
familiar
years
with
ago, they didn't realize that a circle shape is just gonna make the energy or cool around itself instead of
The
actually.
archmages who designed this were very careful and very thorough with the work that they've done to make sure that the plans
they
are as efficient as
probably
possible.
in
Which
the,
pamphlet did you read that out of?
It's in our basic training.
the the magical tech that they were working with was not set up to ingest as much energy, and so having a kind of less efficient trunk line, um, didn't matter as much. Like, it's obviously an issue now with the population boom, but, um, you know, you they've decided if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and they're not fixing it, so we just got to do what we can to
Do you think the company does
make it
do
work.
the regulatory mandated maintenance schedules?
Okay, but if we updated them to,
Require tearing them
a
down. That's a lot of
narrower,
money.
if we updated them to like a loom sort of situation. What are they called
No,
actually? I
I'm with
remember.
you. I
Looms.
like the loom.
The
I saw there was a presentation at the um
maintenance time and like the
I
required
don't know.
maintenance, we could cut it by 50%. We wouldn't have to go out there every month. We'd only need to go out like a couple times a year per tower. Maybe less if we got this situation working efficiently. I mean, my cousins have some minor filters set up around their house, like for the solar energy, and they've
Is
got it
that
set
safe?
up so that
yeah.
it's legal. They're contractors. It all got signed off by the city,
I've got a solar system at my place. My
Oh, of course I do too. Company made and all that. So
and like of the energy through each spoke, like helps reinforce the spokes. All they have to do is clear the snow off it in the winter.
and I have to say I think that's part of the issue because my parents live in the Southwest and they have their town has a loom system instead of the circles we've got up here and um, they since they don't have to deal with as much precipitation, it takes less maintenance out there. Um, the dryness can be an issue, um, but all that takes is, you know, just I think they do it every season. So every solstice, they go out with um, some water to rehydrate. But like, they're it takes a lot less maintenance, but they also have just a fully different environment there. So it might be I'm not as up on the particulars of the loom, but it might be an issue. I mean, in addition to just a full wholesale changeover of the system is a lot of like that's a like 10-year project to like even propose and get all of the like infrastructure set up for. But like when you think about it, because of the precipitation we get, um, it might increase other types of maintenance that we have to perform to um, particularly structurally in the first 5 years to make sure that there's no imbalances.
uh, well, next time I see an archmage, I'll let him know. Maybe I'll put in a good word for you.
Archmages don't make those decisions anymore. It's all the politicians, and none of them have any training.
That can't be right.
It is.
I mean, who's deciding where the funding goes? It's all politics, and
Tell me the bars have been deciding all this.
yeah,
They don't know it. They don't know anything.
exactly. Vote for like you vote for Joe Schmo into office because he runs on
Because he plays a sick loot riff, yeah.
because he plays a sick loot riff and he tells you he's going to increase jobs and then he
We're going somewhere with this, I gotta say. It's like, wow. Okay. So we're at the tower now.
we're at the remove it and
Nico,
on to the
roll,
next
roll,
scene.
roll, roll.
We spent the entire drive just bitching.
Bit convincing.
2 again.
Hey.
An important component is worn out or damaged and needs replacing. What is it? Who makes them? What are they made from? Well, we did talk about like we're part of our maintenance is like to refresh the supply posts, but maybe
Maybe the intake manifold is just sort of it's been
Well,
used, been well loved, as I like to say.
in the very first important component we talked about was the iron in the legs. And I imagine the first thing we would do is inspect the leg because the
Mhm.
legs would also act as our ladder up into the internal mechanics. Um, so our first step is to inspect and um, remove rust or replace worn out
Hmm.
parts.
if we insulated these, we wouldn't have nearly this much problem with rust.
Also be out a lot of money.
How much money do we
I
spend
have
having to?
brought I have brought this up at every local meeting for the past 20 years. I keep telling them that we need to push for insulation.
I mean, you get a little bit of like you get an inert rubber casing, you run some sanctified oil through it to keep everything
It's
smooth.
just really hard to find a priest that'll, bless some oil.
It's common sense with the amount of humidity that we get for anything running off of an iron infrastructure.
I mean, you tell the rabbi he's just not doing it.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like you can shortcut it. It doesn't have to be like sanctified in a place of worship
Oh, now you're
by
okay with cutting corners?
it's like
How
there's
do you get
different.
your sanctified oil? My sister got ordained online and she sanctifies mine like we once a month.
I don't know if that's
My mom, I just
legal.
well
She got
when
ordained
you
online.
check
She
the
performed her
undeclared
friend's marriage.
when you check the undeclared box on the census for the past like 4 generations, then you can sanctify the oil just by passing some branches over it, falling on great grandpa.
Isn't that the one who lost his fingers?
That was grandpa.
Oh, interesting. Oh,
Great grandpa got beheaded
right.
in the old country.
Yeah.
Great grandpa, great grandma, uh, took his skull
He's,
over
oh,
on the boat over. Yeah,
oh.
it sits on
You still
the
have? Oh,
mantle. Yeah, I
does
mean,
he?
how else are
Do you still
that's
talk to him or?
that's how we sanctify the
Oh,
oil.
okay, okay, yeah. Interesting. That's very interesting. Well, I mean, until I hear you, I hear you, but until that happens, we're just gonna have to do with what we can. Um, I guess we're gonna have
It's the
to.
groundwater. You gotta look for rust on the lowest rungs. The groundwater just gets in there. They
So
anchored these so long ago, it's hard to predict when they're gonna go.
Yeah, we had one of the legs collapse. One of the old towers I worked at, Steve's nest, because like just the winter that it was one of them that's in like a town center. They had to keep the area clear. The the salt in the winter, it just
Yeah.
got in the joints there.
Mhm.
Uh,
Well, oh, you were at the at the Main Street collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nasty
Well, because
business. Nasty business.
they took shortcuts with the welding. They didn't get a certified welder.
right, and they didn't. Well, like, because the weld. I mean, you can't weld iron using iron as the.
Yeah,
So you gotta be extra careful that you get the right runes on the joints. Um,
yeah. And
otherwise,
they cut corners with the cost too. They didn't get any silver
They didn't silver it.
because
I think that was
silvering
old
in the
management. They were,
joint.
yeah.
silver it. Otherwise, you don't. Otherwise, the what's it called? The weld. It's not inert because it's not made of iron.
Yeah,
So, like, you can build the whole structure out of as much iron as you want, but to connect the parts, like
Mhm.
if you
Right. So we're gonna have to take this part of the support apart.
mhm,
Um, I
mhm.
guess one of us can hold on, all like a suspension spell to keep it locked while one of us, removes
that's
it
not
and
gonna
replace it.
it's iron.
Yes.
We've got to use the manual suspension.
The tower itself is not iron. We can use
If you want to hold the tub up there, I'm gonna jack up this end with the physical jack that we have in the truck.
exactly, yeah.
And
And then we just whack it out.
No.
well, so you gotta um so this cross beam here is what we're concerned with. Um, so what we're gonna need to do is actually pull each of these struts just a just a pinch, and that'll pop this out, and so we can put a new one in, and then we just have to seal the connection.
Should check on the interior of the struts to make sure there's no
Yeah,
contamination in there.
yeah.
Um,
Yep, everything
It
went all right.
wouldn't hurt to do a preventative mending on the interiors just in case, even if we don't see anything as well.
I mean, I'll have to check to see if we have the time, the hours for it. Uh, listen, guy, I just don't want us to get in trouble, okay? What?
We'll get in more trouble if this thing falls down after we leave. I'll do the mending. I've got it.
Okay, I'll get the suspension
it's the
ready.
checklist. You when there's rust, you got to replace the part. You got to check inside to make sure the rust hasn't carried any of the infected energy into the support structure.
I know how to do my job. I understand.
Mm-hmm. And then after you after you've cleaned it out and you've sealed the new part in, you gotta put the paint over it.
I listen, I hear you. I'm on your side, guys.
All right. I'll go get the jack. You levitate the tub or whatever. Um, you pull out the Rust-Oleum so we can get this.
It's just regular rust.
Lit
Uh,
I've decided.
which we slapping on here. I'm not. They're all the same color, and I can't remember which one this is rated for.
uh, 1 second. I'm going to roll another dice to see where this will take us. All right. So how do we invoke your diagnostic magic? What does it look like? What does it show you about the tower? So I guess sort of what we've already sort of role played out.
I guess
Um,
like for this part, it was like a visual scan, and then
hmm Took a pass of
now like the actual like
the old
diagnostic
ocular pat
magic
down.
stuff
Yeah.
is like once we get up
Well,
into the tower.
so we've replaced this strut and we've all climbed up into the tower. Um,
My character has done the whole like put on the safety harness, clip, clip, unclip, clip, unclip, clip, like the entire way up, and it's like,
we're already in there.
hmm
yeah,
I
like
can just
look,
fly. I can just fly,
my
you know.
risk
For
unbalancing the
that.
whole system. That much wind aspect in an area like this.
It's internal. It's magic.
Yeah, whatever. My mom's cousin's best friend
hmm
died falling off one of these things because she wasn't
I have the supports on. I'm gonna
properly.
strap myself as soon as I land.
I got a wild question for you, kid.
Yeah,
How many of these stories are actually real?
all of them.
Every single one. Hmm.
You need to make friends with a cleric to cast some Zone of Truth, my kid. You really.
I mean, look, my whole family's been in the business since great grandma came over with great grandpa's skull.
Skull, right.
Hmm.
Did she have to declare that as like customs? Or did he count as a passenger?
I think he counted as a familiar, which it was sort of a murky area
Yeah.
in the law back then.
Up until just a couple of years ago, as long as something could be considered to have had a soul, you could call it a familiar and get it through.
Hmm. Now the restrictions are like wild. I mean, my sister went to she went overseas for
Yeah.
college.
hmm
Like there was this referendum at the airport about whether or not her cat had a soul. In the end, she just declared him a pet just to get it over
I
with
mean,
faster.
demonstrably, only two-thirds of cats have souls, so just calling them all pets is a lot easier and simpler than trying to get it by as a familiar.
Okay, I think I got the access hatch open. Oh, yeah, you're not even up here yet. Okay. Uh,
Head on in. We
takes
can at
out
least
like a
start the
little,
diagnosis.
yeah, I think out like a little like eye, like a little stone that like rotates around your head. One of those magic items that just a little light.
Headlamp.
Yeah, headlamp. It's sort of crawl in. I'm trying to think like what like a diagnostic spell would look like. Um,
I could like build this idea that my character does everything analog,
mm-hmm.
as in like does not use magic if they can help it until they're like well away from the tower.
And when they do it, it's like I hate this part.
and and it's fully like not even really a problem. Like any actual like certified engineer will tell you
hmm
that it's not going to be a problem, and my character is just like not gonna risk it.
Yeah, I think you pull out the like floating Ioun stone of brightness or whatever, and I put on an actual headlamp. We've got like the two engineers who are very much like keep your smart appliances away from me. And then we have you.
Me, who has like Apple Home, Apple, Google Home, Alexa. Uh,
You have all of them and you make them talk to each other.
hmm
Um,
The smartest thing I have is the cell phone, and I leave that at home the time.
and my character, I think, is kind of in the middle, but is very much more on the my Nokia brick has worked for me for the past 25 years. Why do I need to upgrade?
Mm-hmm.
So not resistant to magic use, but just like I haven't needed it before now, so why bother?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's probably a combination of diagnostic tools that are being used. Um, like I would probably go over to whatever kind of control panel setup is there and like check the fuses and stuff. Um, run through like the standard checklist that I'm sure we have like physical paperwork that we have to mark. And you might pull up like a diagnostic spell that makes you look like one of those memes where the person's doing math in the
Oh yeah.
air.
Oh, for sure.
And
I'm just
oh
walking
yeah,
around like
Just
with a
ting, ting, ting.
tuning fork, tapping and like
yeah.
listening.
So like Vico is checking the vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm checking the physical mechanics,
Mm-hmm.
and you're checking the like magical bullshit.
The magical bullshit. Yep. Yeah, she takes like a couple of components and like crushes them in their hand, and then just and it goes and like a little screen, so she can like see like X-ray vision into the pipes and stuff.
And my
See
character
all
is
the
just
ghosts
fully
floating
like
Yeah, yeah,
around.
yeah, yeah.
anytime I look at you, I'm just grimacing. Like
She's it's. I mean, it's. Yeah. This is like second. This is like second level. You could easily learn this.
I know how to do it.
I mean, wouldn't it be? Doesn't it? It'll make it a lot
They
easier to.
they pass their apprenticeship. They're
I'm
you
not
know
doubting that. I'm not doubting
I'm
that.
accredited,
I know. I know. I'm just saying
and
you
I
you could
got
use the tools that
accredited
you have. Yeah.
like this. All right, there's a clog in this one.
I don't. Are you sure about? Yeah, yeah, there is. Uh,
Yeah.
it might have to do the just checked all the fuses. All of them are good. One of them is a little loose. So I would recommend replacing it. It looks like it goes to an alternator. So if we get that um, swapped out, it might clear up some of the congestion in that area.
gotcha. Let's see. Oh yeah, yeah. There's the congestion. Yeah, it's a guy who had died of typhoid.
How
Oh,
long's he been in here?
I don't know. Yeah, I think he's been a while. Yeah.
well, I'll get to work on this fuse if you want to
Wait, sorry. It's consumption.
still incredibly old.
Yeah.
If we have a refreshing we've got a new container, right?
I think we've got a few like I'm trying to come up with something that's not incredibly offensive to people who die in that way. Um,
It
oh,
all is. We're using them for energy. So
it's just as I'm like, actually, I don't want to describe how these people died.
Nice.
after you
Should we
just
run
gotta
a
plug the container in.
run a clear through? Just get out all of the
Flush the
old gunk.
system.
Yeah.
Couldn't hurt.
I mean, we don't have enough people who
Let
died on the
me
toilet to do that.
get the new
Shh.
fuse
I'm just saying, it doesn't
in.
happen as often as we hope it does.
Do you know how to flush a system? This company handbook.
Yeah.
You've read the handbook, but have you read the maintenance manuals?
Yes. Have them on me all the time.
What do you think we
Great,
use
you're
to
gonna
flush
want to
a
open one
system
of
that's
those
full
up.
of ghosts? I brought the salt and
Hmm.
the snake. I'll open here and start running it through.
It's an actual snake.
It's
Give me
it's a trained snake that has like
It's a magical snake.
little backpack full of salt
Mm-hmm.
on it, and it just runs through and just like
Or it could be like a little
bonks.
like automaton snake, like a magically like
It's familiar.
controlled, yeah, like a magically like animated like those like wood like snakes that go like that, like that.
Let me get you in your little jacket, and remember, no, like, gonna get tight in there. There's a clog. You don't want to. All right.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, you'll get a treat. You'll get a treat when we get home.
It has no real mouth.
We just charge it on one of those special
Like the wireless charger thing. Just curls up along
the fancy little like rose gold
Mm-hmm.
wireless chargers.
Yep. God bless.
It's just in there fully like body slamming into all of the ghosts and like forcing them out of the pipe.
It's just wiggling. It's just wiggling. Very good.
And I'm like
you
tracking
follow its progress by the percussion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Got another clog down here.
Yeah, choking victim.
A weak point in the connection here. If we're not careful, that could burst. Replace that joint.
Yeah, I mean, I can fly to get up there, or
We've got a ladder.
okay.
Let's flush the system first so it's not messy. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather only take like 2 showers instead of the normal 5 after this. So okay. So Kai, do you want to roll for the third thing we did for at the tower?
I did roll, and I rolled another 4. The weather takes a turn for the worse. Do you continue working or take a break? How do you pass the time? And we've already talked about these towers being kind of like water towers. So we would be physically protected from the elements.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine that the weather bringing certain energies into the area might pose an issue for, because we've already talked about being connected to the environment and stuff. So I imagine that like we flush the system and one of us runs out to get a new part from the truck, and I imagine we would have sent the youngest person because that is my inclination.
The youngest, and also the one who's so slow because I have to like Golden Gate bridge worker. The entire
and we're finishing other diagnostics while they're gone. Like,
yeah, exactly. Especially if like my magic diagnostic thing like picks up like the interference from the storm or whatever. Be like, I don't
like at the very same time you're like, oh, there must be a storm coming. Let me check the weather on my phone. And Vico pops up like gonna rain in about 5 minutes.
I
just cast Druidcraft and be like, oh yeah, look at that.
We're gonna want to get that filter changed before the rain starts.
All right, should we double time it or?
Well, we can do the filter change before we.
That's true.
Put the new shit in. We just want.
Yeah, well, the filter change needs to happen first, but we can't restock the supply while it's raining. So
Makes them all goopy.
if we finish fast enough, we can try and put them in.
We can probably
But
get some of the tasks in. We do one at a time. We can probably do simultaneously. Make it done a little quicker. It's
mhm,
not according to the book, but I'm okay stretching a little bit.
flexibility is just as important as
Yeah, and as long as we're following all of our safety standards, I'm happy.
I'll get the filters. And I'm like pulling on like a pair of like iron mesh gloves.
You're like taking out the old filter. It's like a laundry dryer of like thick goop. It's like all like malevolent energies and like bad vibes. So it's just like goop that's cursing you out and stuff. Fuck you.
Yeah, okay. Yep, my
Fuck
mother
you.
had lots of sex.
Fuck
Okay.
yes. Fuck your mom. Fuck.
Puts
Yep.
it into the like box and then changes my glove
Mm.
for a fresh pair of gloves so that I don't contaminate the new filter. I've given this character OCD.
Yeah. Look at that.
highly relatable.
Highly relatable. Yeah, and I guess we'll be getting
Hey, look,
the new
I
supply
know
going
we
in.
don't have a whole lot of time, but can you just look at the circle on this filter and tell me, like,
Is it okay? It's good. You just unpacked it. You just
I
opened
mean,
it.
no, I know that, but like, look, these are different, right? Different from normal.
It could have just
Oh, no, we changed suppliers recently. Don't you remember the memo
I mean, yeah, I
went
didn't
out?
think they were gonna change how the circles
they
written.
started using like some alternate draconic runes instead of the standard dwarven. I think it's supposed to save more energy or like filter energy more efficiently. They send it in like a weekly update to you. You should have read it.
I read the.
It was really deep in there.
No, the new manufacturer, uh, because they're based out of uh, a because they switched to a local
They outsourced.
manufacturer. We used to be well, we used to be
We used to have it.
importing from overseas, and with the new regulations and import taxes, they switched to a local one. So that's it.
It's supposed to be purification runes. These don't look like this is not how a purification circle works. This is a spiral. I know, I just get bad vibes from
Hold
it.
that hold that up again.
Yep.
You know,
See what I'm saying? Nobody smart's gonna use a spiral for
Which
purification.
which package did you pull that out of?
The usual.
which one?
That one. Right over there.
They sent us with the wrong fucking equipment. Who was packing the truck?
It's the wrong one. I I think we kept the spare in the back. I'm gonna see if that's the right one.
Manager. The manager had some of the new guys packing. Not the equipment.
Gotta teach the new guys how to read.
I
Viral
think some of them are
filter.
homunculuses, so I don't even think they can read.
What do we even use something like this for?
Looks like it's a channeling
You
for, yeah, amplification. Um, explosive,
I think that
mhm,
was supposed to go to the power plant.
mhm.
Makes sense. I'm getting
Put
these
it back
out
in
of
the
here.
package.
Can't
Make
reseal
a
it, but
note that we pulled it out and inspected it so that they know it might need a do we have a spare?
yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'm bringing it back.
Don't get it wet.
It's not. Cast a dry spell on it. Don't ask me how I did that.
Prestidigitation, you made the rain not
Yeah.
fall on you.
Mm-hmm. Or just like a light shield spell over. Amazing.
Like peeling off my new pair of gloves and putting them very carefully into a uh,
A disposal bag or something.
like not disposal necessarily, but just like a containment bag so that they can be thoroughly washed later,
Mm-hmm.
like magically washed or something.
Hermetically sealed. Oh, right. There you.
I hate when anything gets mixed with anything else.
I think we're all gonna die now. Oh, you're dead. All right. All right. Filter's changed. That's it. I'm prepped to put fresh supply in.
Let me
Systems
check and see
flush.
if it's still raining out. Hold on.
Just stick your head out the maintenance hatch.
I do. Yes.
I could check on my. Oh,
No, we're good. We're clear.
cool.
Passed.
Just chunk it in, and it's just the wails of the dead. Like, ah! And it's just like, oh, yeah, every day with this.
They still haven't figured out a better way to do this shit.
I guess, not. I mean, it's just there's really not much we can do.
I mean, there
There's
to get
not
some.
much they can do that's not more expensive and requiring of updating the infrastructure, and we talked about how they're resistant to doing that with the
They're
loom
doing some
system already.
fascinating stuff overseas with salt lattices.
Yep.
Overall, they've found a
Yeah,
30% reduction in costs overall.
I'm not sure they're
Just
Yeah,
interested
it's the
in
upfront investment that they're not interested
yeah,
in. You know what they're like, they'd rather cut corners early and then blame it on, you know, us and, push for overtime later.
maybe I should run for city government.
You
I'd
could
vote for
certainly do
you.
that. I'd consider voting for you.
Do you even vote?
Of course I vote.
For who?
That's my right to keep to myself.
All
I
right.
mean, yes.
Are they in?
Yep, we're all set.
All right.
Cool.
Do a test circuit. Do you want to scan those places where the clogs were just to see if there's any residual stall?
No, looks like we're good.
Sounds clear, but next time we're here, we're probably gonna do a an oil cleansing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bring the
Make a
sage.
note
Yeah,
for the next crew they bring out. Yeah.
cool. All right, we're on to our last thing. uh, your work on the tower is finished for now. You pack up and begin the trip home.
This
Vigo, what's
this
up
was
first?
either the best game to choose for the three of us or the worst game.
Yeah, Drury's still out.
One.
I mean, now I would like to play an entire game in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
So
What'd you roll?
A one. Were you
One.
able to get the tower back in working order? Will folks in the area notice any disruption? Um,
Hopefully not.
I think if it like the tower's working, and I think we moved fast enough that like any residual energy like was able to keep the lights on. Basically, it wasn't like a brownout or anything.
No. Yeah, might have been like a little bit of flickering between the flush out, but I think we kept things on reserve power long enough. I think we're all good.
like a small power surge, but nothing. Nothing
Company
dramatic.
actually remembered to send out a notice to the local residents this time, right?
We'll find out when we get back, that's for sure.
Yep.
When
No.
I broke my leg last year and I was on desk duty for 2 months, the amount of angry callers I had to field because
Well, you gotta remember as well that the company can send out as many notices as they want, doesn't mean people are gonna read them. You know how
Very true.
many people internally don't read the memos.
I read every single one.
I know you do.
I know you do.
What's that like?
Informative. Alrighty. We answered that one pretty quick.
Alright,
Oh, I rolled 6. Okay. You look back over your shoulder as the tower as you leave. What do you see there? The tower. It's there.
there it is.
I imagine like we go to pack up the truck and we put the like little biohazard box of old spirits
Spewing out
in the
obscenities, yeah.
back. And I imagine like looking back for just a second, there might be an aura
Mm.
around the tower that is not necessarily any particular way, but it's not necessarily a great feeling because it is using ghosts to power this thing, whatever it's doing.
Yeah, like maybe the rain, like, or it stopped raining, but like there's still like bits of like cloud cover and bits of stray sunlight coming through. And like just around the edges of the water tower, like a few like inches off or so, you just see like a distortion of like light being stretched out, like it were like through a black hole or something. And
Like a
it's just
little
like
bit of mist,
a little bit of
a
necrotic
little bit of.
energy, just sort of humming around it.
And again, not all necrotic energy is bad. It's not a bad thing. It is just
Not all
the
necromancers.
particular
Hashtag not all necromancers.
the particular use of dead people in this case is not awesome.
Not great.
One of my cousins was in a local necromancer's uh,
Like a
group.
hobbyist guild. Like a
Yeah,
hobby, yeah, hobby circle.
they've got a lot of opinions that they want to share over Thanksgiving dinner about the, you know, the embalming,
Hmm.
uh, pricing on like,
Yeah, how much per gallon of ghost?
well, that, but also like a resurrection where the materials only cost what, like $100 total, and the actual resurrection, like they charge you like 100,000.
Yeah.
Ridiculous markup.
Insurance, I'm not sure. Yeah. Insurance can be rough sometimes. Kai, do you want to roll the last thing?
I rolled a 2. Who benefits most from the towers? Are you well compensated for your work?
This is
I
definitely one of those jobs where you can be like, I didn't go to college. I have no debt, and I make 40,000 a year.
yeah,
And
I
it's
think
like
I think it's
40,000 a
very
year is
much
not.
one of those trades where like um you're pretty well compensated for your work, but it is work.
It is work.
And in a society where we have just discussed not having universal health care and things like that, the compensation is not as good as you would think it is. simply because of the toll it takes on your body and the potential for long-term disability and, um, loss of income because of that.
Yeah.
So,
So
just
no.
in general, monetarily kind of well compensated, but
Technically, yes.
in the long term, not
Mm,
really.
not really. And I definitely
Who
think
benefits most from the
yeah,
towers?
it's like everybody. It's sort of like a public
I mean, yeah,
goods.
It's
but we also
public
discussed
utility kind of
the
thing.
idea that they're actually being used for secret shit, so.
But yeah, but like that doesn't mean it can't also be very good for. I mean, it's definitely good for the shadow government, but it's also good for mom and pop who are also part of the
In
shadow
terms
government.
of our work, we believe that the people who benefit most from the towers are the general population, but I imagine there's some kind of wealth income disparity where people who have more magical technology obviously receive more benefit because
Mhm.
that energy is being fed to them and cycled through, whereas people who don't have magical technology don't need the towers and so doesn't necessarily benefit them as much.
That's true.
Also, the towers
Just
form
like all technology and utilities.
They form a pentagram.
yeah, the towers form a fucking
Away.
alchemy circle like Full Metal
God damn
Alchemist
it.
that's going to sacrifice.
I called it a fairy circle in the very first
You did. You
scene.
did. Yeah.
If we activate it wrong, like someone in the government flips a switch and the entire like tri-state area is sucked into the shadow realm.
Oh my god. Instead of one person trying to become God, it's everybody becomes God. Anyway,
Everybody becomes God and it's a shit job to
everyone
have.
fucking hates it.
Well, it's all set up to eventually you flip the switch and the one person at the chart in charge of the shadow government ascends to godhood. If you flip the switch, someone accidentally flips the switch too early and it's like, Charlie, a second grader.
It is random. It just picks a person at random.
Just
And just,
random ass child. Suddenly I'm God.
I'm God now. I feel like there was a
And the
Twilight
rest
Zone
of us
episode
are
about
like
that.
horrible writhing spirits
Hmm.
in in the underworld, a roiling mass.
It's just someone's golden retriever.
Yeah, honestly,
I'd
I'd
be
be down.
alright with
Yeah,
that.
I'd be fine with that. Great. Well, that was the game.
I love a good
We didn't
open-ended
cover all the
game.
prompts, but some of these are very
Some
good.
of them are pretty good.
I like as a like text-based uh TTRPG as well. I think that could be fun.
Hmm.
I have really enjoyed just spitballing and like I've said a couple of times that this game sort of reminds me of a more less humorous uh, fantasy version of the game Apollo 47 Technical Handbook,
Hmm.
where you just kind of make up legit sounding techno babble. We basically
Well,
just
it's like playing an
arcana
engineer
babbled.
in Star Trek Adventures where you're just like,
Exactly.
I'm going to say words and
Hmm.
pretend that they mean science things.
The
Yep.
salt lattice, the loom system.
Hmm. Got it. That's actually why I love role playing in Star Trek as well. So yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you, Tim, for making this game. I hope we didn't go too off tangent with it at times. That was still enjoyable. Uh, but yeah, uh, if you are itching for more TTRPG content, come hang out with us three plus two others tomorrow over on our good friend Racius's channel, ADHD. We'll be playing
There's
more.
there's three others.
Oh, there is three
Not
others. You're so
really.
right. Why did I think? Because there's 5 party members, and I just forget that Racius exists. So it's like he
How
doesn't even
could
exist.
you? Our boy.
My
Gracious,
boy!
the arguably the most
The
important
most important
person
one. I was just thinking of the party.
given.
It's gonna be us 3, and then 2 others in the party, and our GM Racius. Um,
Well,
as we
it does also depend on if he's killed Flower
mm-hmm,
Flower's
full and
character.
yeah.
or Flower. You never know.
Or Flower.
Mm,
Or if
no,
Flower has
I would have objections
succumbed
to that.
to her cold.
Yeah.
I mean, I would too, but you know.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll be playing through Critical Roles called the Netherdeep. We're how many sessions in now? Like almost
I think we're at 17.
17 or so. Yeah. Been a lot of fun so far. Yeah. That'll be tomorrow over on Race's channel at 5:30 Eastern time. Yeah, and then we'll be back on Wednesday for more video games, and then once again Saturday for more TTRPGs. But yeah, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday evening.
If you want to
It better
purchase
not
the
be
game
Wednesday.
or
I
check
did
out
not
other
go to
games
work
by
today.
this creator, the links are
Surprise, it's done today.
right down there. And also on
Good
our
point.
Twitter.
Bam. Yep.
Beep, beep.
Beep. Yeah. So this has been indieRevue. I'm Avery. These are the 2 others.
And we go.
And Kai. And stay happy, stay healthy, and as always,
Stay queer, folks.
bye bye.